I'm Odie Blackman, recording industry professor at MTSU. For 2 years, I plan to study abroad class to provide students with experiential learning, cultural depth, and a global understanding of the music business and life. My colleague Bill Crabtree joined me to co-lead the trip. This is our story, 17 students and 2 professors on a journey of collaborative learning, the 2024 London Calling Study Abroad class. When we arrived at Heathrow Airport, it was morning. Students traveled by bus to see famous London sites like Buckingham Palace, Westminster Abbey, Big Ben, and even saw Queen Camilla leaving an event. While the students toured the city, Bill and I went to Abbey Road Studios to meet up with his friend John Crivet and attend the Abbey Road Institute graduation. To our surprise, we walked into the cafe and Paul McCartney was looking right at us. He was having lunch with Giles Martin and would later present an award to longtime house engineer Lester Smith.
We got the glamorous bit, we're making all the records and having all the fun. But if anything goes wrong with the microphone or anything like that, Lester's your man.
Being huge Beatle fans, Bill and I were thrilled and plan on returning to record with students at Abbey Road. The next morning, we taught the students to use the London Tube as we made our way to the Institute of Contemporary Music Performance, where our gracious host Shane Bills invited Columbia Records A&R executive Julian Palmer to speak to our group. Erin wrote in her final reflection paper that this was an impactful experience.
Meeting the A&R executives on this trip really helped me understand what professionals in the industry are looking for with regards to scouting new talent. Julian reaffirmed my faith in the slow and tedious process of continuously showing up for yourself on social media.
Julian then worked individually with music business students, while audio students prepared the ICMP studios for recording, and MTSU songwriters wrote with ICMP songwriters. It was chaotic and super creative. The next day was recording and pitch day. Audio and songwriting students worked with professional musicians to record their songs, while music business students worked with a designated artist to prepare a pitch to legendary UK manager Shar Grant. Josie wrote how being thrown into the fire was transformative.
Being in London with people I didn't know, doing things that I don't do in my normal day-to-day life, really opened my eyes. I have a lot to learn still about myself and our industry and other people as a whole, and I don't go out of my comfort zone very often. Coming back from this trip, going back into my everyday life, it gave me a new perspective on how every day I can do something different.
Tyler appreciated the value of teamwork when working under pressure.
On a professional side of things, the biggest thing I learned about myself on this trip is that a small team can make a quality product on a time crunch if we all do our part to work together and contribute equally.
Maud impressed us all with her pitch to manager Shar Grant.
I think the part of the trip that made the biggest impression on me was getting to hear feedback from not only my peers, but industry professionals and fellow students from Europe on my music business project and mock song pitch.
We started day 4 with a behind-the-scenes tour of the Royal Albert Hall. Built in 1871 by Queen Victoria and known as the world's most famous stage, it has been the scene of over 150,000 performances, from Clapton to Sinatra, the Beatles to Beyonce, Muhammad Ali to Adele. Learning the history, touring the Royals' private area, and watching the English National Ballet Troupe warm up gave deeper meaning to the students before the performance we would return to later that night. We then took a leisurely walk through Hyde Park to the Kensington Palace Gardens for lunch at the Orangery. Everyone enjoyed the upscale environment and the kind wait staff who taught us about English tea and let us sample different varieties with dessert. Next on our schedule was a rock music walking tour of London. I had a hunch Josh was going to love this.
The portion of the trip which made the biggest impression on me was definitely the rock and roll walking tour. This guided experience through downtown London transported me to a different era, even in the midst of modern transformations. The tour still took me back and made me feel like I got to get one step closer than most to my favorite musicians and performers. Seeing Regent Sound Studios, where the Rolling Stones cut their first album, was incredible.
That evening, we returned to the Royal Albert Hall for a performance of Swan Lake by the English National Ballet Philharmonic. Lauren and many students had never attended a ballet or classical concert.
The Swan Lake performance had the most beautiful classical music I'd ever heard, and the dancers were so well rehearsed.
Day 5, we met up late afternoon at the Adelphi Theatre on London's West End to attend Back to the Future, the musical. The production, music, acting, and dancing was spectacular. Later, we enjoyed Outernet London, a group of public galleries featuring giant Ultra HD screens delivering jaw-dropping audio-visual experiences. On day 6, we headed out of London on a tour bus to explore the Roman Baths, Peter Gabriel's real-world studios in Box, and Stonehenge in Wiltshire. The temple and the site of the Roman Baths were constructed between 60 and 70 AD, and Bath is a lovely town. Everyone was excited to tour Peter Gabriel's Real World Studio. Bill made this happen, and it's a rare opportunity. The list of famous artists that have recorded here is mind-boggling. Besides the state-of-the-art gear, I'm sure they're attracted to the remote location and serene setting, just as Aaliyah was.
Having the privilege of touring Peter Gabriel's Real World Studio was definitely the highlight of my study abroad. It was so inspiring to see that someone of such great success takes inspiration from the peacefulness of nature, and to just be in the same room where legends created hits was definitely well worth the trip.
Several students were inspired to return to London, including Will.
I can say that I would love to revisit London, and I would consider interning there as well. The music history is rich, and some of the best studios in the world call London home. It was a great trip.
Last stop, Stonehenge. We learned a lot about history and culture and a lot about ourselves. I think Catherine summed it up best after she got home.
As a student, I think everyone needs to study abroad at least once in their life. I learned so much, not only about the world, but also just about me as a person that I never could have discovered here.
On the bus ride back to London, I took pride in the fact that we jam-packed so many activities into the week, the students were completely wiped out. Our last night in London, different groups enjoyed different activities, but we all reflected on how our lives had changed, just as Carly wrote.
So this experience was able to boost my own confidence that I can and will make a career around what I love. I finally feel like I can and will achieve my dream of working around music. And now I also have a support group of wonderful friends that I made from this trip.
That night, a student took this photo of Bill and me through the front window of a restaurant. We were tired and yet already planning for the next year. We also talked about the beautiful human beings we'd shared this journey with. The next day, Bill sent out a text the students would receive when they landed in Nashville.
To all of you returning to Nashville, I want you to know that it was truly my great honor to travel with you on one of life's memorable adventures. I've gotten to know each and every one of you far beyond what would have been in a typical class. We saw some great sights, we created music together, and we made some new friends that will be with us for many years to come. You are all forever etched into my heart and mind. Travel safe, and I'll see you soon.
In return, we received a final group photo of the students at the Nashville airport, and as they walked to the baggage claim, they were proud to see this digital sign for MTSU and the College of Media and Entertainment. And with that, here's looking forward to next year's London Calling Study Abroad class.